All right, guys, welcome to today's episode. Whether you are watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast, it is great to have you here. It is day 18 of me doing up YouTube 100 days in a row. And yesterday was a bit of a weird one because I thought the episode was all right, but then I looked back on the camera and it had given me a mystic tan. So we'll see how this one comes out. I promise I haven't started my fake tan routine yet. But yeah, not sure what happened there. Hopefully that's not a recurring tech issue that I'm gonna have to deal with. But let's get into it. Today is a bit of a clickbaity, but I reckon quite an exciting topic that I think a few of you will be interested in hearing more about, because it's the 19th of January. I have heard on the grapevine that it is -5 in the UK and that there is a storm approaching, that the heavens have opened. And right about now, you're probably thinking, damn, I need to get out of here ASAP. You're probably thinking about a summer holiday, maybe a little Easter break, whatever it might be, down Ibiza or Dubai. Where else do people go these days? Tulum, bloody Tulum. Everyone loves a bit of Tulum. Anyway, you're probably thinking about a bit of an escape to the sun. But at the same time, hashtag cost of living crisis, you're also probably a little bit worried about finances, right? How can I get to Tulum and take these amazing Instagram photos and look the same as everybody else? So today I'm going to give you a very simple grocery shopping hack that is going to pay for your next holiday. No BS. So let's get into it. Let's start with a story. So around the time when I first decided to pay more attention to my health and, go to the gym and, actually follow a structured program, eat a bit healthier. I was a bit more conscious about what I drank. I mean, I still drank way too much, but I was a bit more conscious about the amount of alcohol I had. I was getting more into sort of personal development, growth, mindset, all of that stuff, right? And one of the things I did is I used to get off at, bloody hell, what was the station called? It was the one next to Kilburn. I lived in Kilburn. I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, the stop next to Kilburn in the evening, coming home from the office. Back in the day when we used to have to go to the office 5 days a week. That's a whole other topic. I don't know how we used to do that, right? Anyway, got off the tube, went to Sainsbury's, and I bought a punnet. You know, the little Sainsbury's and Tesco's punnets of blueberries. I'm sure they get these in the US as well if you're tuning in there. A fresh one, £2. Beep, swiped. And I would buy one of those little packets, and they had the cellophane wrapper of mixed veg. It'd be a little bit of broccoli, maybe a little bit of asparagus. What else was there? A little bit of spinach, whatever it might have been, right? And I used to take that home and I'd buy my dinner, my meat, my chicken, my fish, my whatever it might be. And I'd cook, right? And I'd have my blueberries as soon as I got home whilst I was cooking, because I was ravenous. But I was doing all this because it was hashtag health, right? I need to get my fruit and veg in. Absolutely, fruit and veg is fantastic. So I would steam the veg, which would take, 10 minutes all in, because you have to, boil the kettle, set it up, steam it, all that shit. And then I would cook my meat at the same time, right? And it was an operation. I've never been the greatest of cooks, despite being a nutritionist. Trust me, I'm a nutritionist, not a chef. They are very different. and then I eat, and it was great. I loved it. However, every single day, I was spending £3.50 just on that punnet of blueberries and £1.50 on the veg, right? So £3.50. And I was doing this, I wouldn't say 7 days a week, but I was doing this, let's say 5 days a week, right? So if you add that up, £3.50 times by 5, £17.50 per week times by 52, £910 for not a lot, one portion of veg, a decent portion of veg, but one portion nonetheless, and a punnet of blueberries. Then I started training to become a nutritionist. And the course I did is what you would call evidence-based. So you might have heard about this. It's where that the stuff that they're telling, the material on the course is based on science. Now, a lot of people say that their practice, their material is based on science. And within science, there is different levels of scientific studies. There's different levels of quality. So you can have a scientific study. Genuinely, this is true. I don't think it should be, in my opinion, but this is just technically a scientific study where they go up to someone in the street and ask them a question. There's a very well-known one, I think it was done in Germany, and it was, how many eggs did you have last year? I think they just sent a survey around to like 20,000 people, something like that. Last year, how many eggs did you have? I'm not being funny, right? If someone asked you that question, how the hell are you meant to know, right? This is a very low quality scientific study. However, it leads to very clickbait headlines. So in that egg example, I think it was in Germany, they surveyed 20,000 odd Germans. Well, they might not be Germans, but you know what I mean? And they gave an answer. The findings of that study basically were that eggs were bad for you. What they didn't take into account was those people's lifestyles, their ages, stress levels, alcohol, smoking, all of this stuff. They just looked at one thing and were like, must be eggs, because we've asked them about eggs, right? So that's a low-level scientific study. The course that I did was very much focused on what we call meta-analyses. A meta-analysis is where the people who are conducting a meta-analysis, they take all of the best, the highest quality studies, which tend to be double-blind placebo studies, which is basically where neither the participant nor the researcher knows who's got the placebo and who hasn't. So it's double blind, right? Everyone's blind, no one knows. So there's no bias involved. It's normally done under laboratory conditions so that it's actually monitored and you're gathering data in real time as well. So what's happening there, and it's done in humans, that's an important thing to say as well, because you'll get a lot of scientific studies that are done on animals. And people will publish this stuff, the newspapers will pick it up, Daily Mail, whatever it may be, and they'll preach it. They'll put the headline out with an image of someone who's dying or something like that, or looks really unhealthy. And this is what our brain does. It picks up on, it's like word association with imagery. And it starts to label things as good or bad, black or white. Yeah, but a very binary system in our brains. We like to simplify things. And it's not the case at all. And these double-blind placebos, they are much more accurate. The meta-analysis takes all of the best studies, combines them, and looks at the results of their studies to then get like the God's honest truth, effectively, right? And one of the most powerful things that came out of my nutrition course, there were many things, was that there was basically zero nutritional value difference between fresh fruit and veg and frozen fruit and veg. What's very interesting is that fresh fruit and veg now is actually much more likely to have been genetically modified to keep it fresh, to increase its value effectively. And one very quick and easy way to do this, and you can do this with fruits like blueberries or avocados or strawberries, the bigger they are and the juicier they seem, it's more than likely that they've had more genetic modification. Because if you look at a blueberry, Google this. Google what a blueberry looked like 100 years ago. They are tiny, tiny little things. You see them now in the supermarkets and they're almost as big as bloody apples, right? If you go and buy frozen blueberries, they're normally a lot smaller. The beauty of frozen fruit and veg is it's a heck of a lot cheaper, guys. So if you're getting frozen fruit and veg, it's not only a lot cheaper, it's just as nutritionally good for you. And when you stick the veg in the microwave to heat it up, 5 minutes, as long as you're not doing it in a plastic bowl or with a plastic covering, because that's when you get microplastics sort of getting into it. Just do it in a ceramic bowl or whatever it might be. Be careful when you take them out. I literally burned the shit out of my finger the other day. You're not going to lose any nutritional value and you're not going to get microplastics into your food. And the best part is you save a ton of money. How much money, you might ask? Genuinely enough to pay for your next holiday, and I'll show you how. So frozen blueberries, you can buy a packet for £3, okay? But that £3 packet is going to last you for 4 days. So now you've gone from spending £2 on blueberries or fruit to 75 pence a day. £1.25 saved. But we're not done, people. If you buy a pack of frozen broccoli, let's take, just an example, right? It is £1. It might be £1.50 now, but when I was buying it in the UK, it was £1. That would last you 3 days. So I was spending 33 pence per day on veg. So all in all, what was I saving? £1.50 minus 0.3. So I was saving £1.20 on the veg, plus I was saving £1.25 on the blueberries. Every day, 5 days a week, I was saving £2.45. We multiply that by 5. £12.25 a week. You can see where I'm going with this, right? You multiply that by 52. Bang, I just saved £637. You're welcome. Now, go and book your holiday to Ibiza, buy frozen fruit and veg, and take sick pics for Instagram. Have a great weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.